I'm telling them this story about a Bigfoot mimicking a blue jay from watching a video of Miguel out in the Ozarks having these blue jays around him. And next thing you know, there was like two handfuls of pebbles that got thrown up on their roof of their garage.
Ah.
And you could hear the pebbles rake across the top of it. So it wasn't like just acorns or something, nuts falling from the trees. It was actually little pebbles that was tossed. You know, first there was one tossed and there was a second. So we came
I
outside
love
and looked
that.
around, and that's when it was laying.
Oh wait, we lost you. Let's see if you come back. Oh, we were doing great.
So yeah, they asked if I wanted to go ride four wheelers with them. That was the first day they found out that they had Bigfoot there where they
Yeah.
lived, and we went riding four wheelers up on their property. They were going to take me and show me around their property. And as we're riding four wheelers, I saw a Bigfoot literally fell out of the tree right above their house there. And it was a violent fall. I mean, that sucker was spinning and flipping and flopping. He looked like one of them Plinko chips, how it falls and hits, every little limb coming down out of that tree. And he he was bent over backwards over one limb. I saw it flipped him back over face forward just before he hit the ground. And I thought, my gosh, that would have killed me. Fall out of a tree like that. I mean, bent over just the way his back arched backwards over that limb. And as soon as he hit the ground, like face first, you could tell the only thing hurt was his, pride. He was quite embarrassed. This Bigfoot, the expression on his face, he took off immediately running, but he ran on all fours, like he was running like a spider across the ground, flat out with his arms fully extended out and his legs extended out. And he went right up
Wow.
over the ridge. And I turned to look to see if Matt or Jim saw it, and neither of
Yeah.
them saw this. I mean, neither of them were looking to the right when I seen this Bigfoot fall out of the tree. And so we came back through there after riding four wheelers, and there was this feather there. And so I asked him, I was like, "Did you all see it first?" Like, they was like, "No, you saw it, so it's yours, Dave." So I picked it up and I kept that feather, but you could smell the scent of that Bigfoot on that feather, and there was mud that was still wet on it, and
Yeah.
there was the ground and everything around it was a different kind of soil, like it had red clay mud on it, and the ground there was just like that woods, dark, rich soil, and the woods was dry, and this feather was wet where it had been placed there for us, but it was right where I had that sighting. Like that feather was
Yeah.
put there right where I'd seen a Bigfoot. And so,
Ah, a Madalena não pode comer, não sei para quê, mas ela depois para-lhe a digestão. Ela não pode. Arroz é a última vez só para
Sorry.
fazer.
yeah, I don't have much battery here. I've got like 30%. I was trying to charge it just now. It's not really taking a charge from my Jeep
No.
charger. You might want to go ahead and do the show as quick as we can. Since I've
Look,
got a good
what
signal.
we can do. Do you have how to charge it or not?
No, I don't. It's not charging. Yeah. We can try to go ahead and start if you want.
Yeah. Look, just if it just if you don't have battery, what we can do is we can you can either get it charging and we continue, or maybe charge it and we'll continue later.
Yeah. I've got 30% now. How much do you think it'll
Okay.
hold? We can try it
Okay,
and
so
see.
30 may hold maybe like 15 minutes,
Oh, gosh.
20, maybe 20.
Yeah.
Do you have a car charger? No.
Yeah, but it's not charging.
No.
It's not working. I was trying to get it to charge just now.
Okay. Maybe I don't
Yeah.
know if you have to turn on the car or something. No,
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, we'll do what we can. Let's
Okay.
start like that. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, my brother Ninja Dave. The question I
Hey.
want to make you is, everybody. This is my brother Ninja Dave. He's a very good old friend of mine from the cryptid world and the UFO world. And today I'm going to start with a question, which is the usual. And Dave, how did you start investigating the paranormal, UFOs, cryptids? How did it start for you, brother? Let's start chronologically.
Um, Started out as a skeptic, actually. I'd had my first childhood sighting at about 6 years of age of a Bigfoot. And back then, as a kid, growing up in a bad neighborhood of the ghetto and the projects, the woods was the only escapism that I really had. So this fear that I experienced of this sighting, not knowing that they were real, and being told by your parents that they don't exist, that you don't have to fear monsters in the woods or boogeymen under your bed or anything like that. I just kind of grew cynical and skeptical of Bigfoot. And looking back, I'd had repeated sightings in my childhood of them, even, and it it really was a childhood where you would try to forget those things. So much of that early memories and early past, seeing a Bigfoot that had this ability to turn invisible, I grew up thinking
Yep.
it was just the playful imagination of a child. It must have been just my imagination seeing this thing, because it wasn't until I became a Bigfoot researcher that I started to research them and experience more of their abilities, to then connect back to that childhood sighting that I thought was just, a playful imagination or something.
Yep.
Because it was easier for me dealing with the abduction type scenarios as a child and the experiences that I went through, to think that it was just, make believe or play pretend that it wasn't really happening, when this stuff was very much real. It was like an
Yep.
inconvenient truth that I later became a researcher after a sighting in 2016. And that sighting, I discovered that the dermal ridges in the feet, that there were only two mammal species. And so growing up, these other sightings, I could dismiss them as just being a bear, possibly, that I'd seen, or imagine it being something other than what it really was, these Bigfoot. And so I didn't really connect it with UFOs and other things until later on in life. And the alien abduction part, even, it was like some type of advanced hybridization program, no doubt connected with the government cheese and peanut butter that they would give you, growing up on subsidized housing and the projects, and experiencing these shadow people that could go through walls, and seeing this stuff firsthand, waking up after having these night terror like dreams of falling back into your body, and outer body type of experiences. It was like nightly this stuff would go on. And on occasions, I would remember waking up on an operating table, like the feeling of like
Wow.
just the cold, flat stainless steel beneath me. And even at times seeing the doctors or the people performing whatever upgrades to the DNA that they were experimenting with, it was like you would see some faceless surgeon, almost how doctors used to wear like surgical mask
Tá
and,
tudo bem, eu estou a
you know,
vê-la.
cap and gown
Oh,
and everything.
okay.
But really, there was no facial features to them. I mean,
Hum,
you would see a figure, or oftentimes it would just be like a black silhouette or solid shape, outline of a figure, and you would see it usually walking away as you would wake back up into your body after having like a free fall, almost like a dream, like you're falling, and then oftentimes I would wake up with both noses bleeding, like profusely bleeding, like full blown nosebleeds.
Oh my
And
God.
that continued like all the way up into my mid 20s. I had really bad nosebleeds, and then it just one day they just stopped. The nosebleeds did, and
Yes.
everywhere we moved to, I would have sightings of these Bigfoot even. And one of the earliest memories of seeing one was at a little park by a spring there. And this little girl was like, "There's a monster in the woods." And I'm like, "There ain't no such thing as monsters," because as a skeptic, it was like more convenient to believe that these things weren't real, and these things that you were experiencing as a child that were terrifying was just your imagination. Even it was easier to believe that, or easier to believe that they're just a bear that you saw, even though we don't have brown bears here. you know but I found out from the dermal ridges that there's only two mammal species that have those dermal ridges in their feet, and that's humans and other primates, which they consider humans to be primates. So right then I discovered that what I'd seen was either a human or some primate. And so this was in 2016 when I discovered the dermal ridges in the feet of a Bigfoot that I'd had a sighting of crossing the river. Well, the feet themselves don't have the morphology of an ape by having a divergent big toe that's separate, like your thumb, where they can
Yep.
climb and hang upside down. They have a human type of foot. Now, it's not quite human in their agility and abilities that we lack. They have developed a foot that can articulate and traverse over uneven ground with you know gentle ease. Even, I mean, it's like seeing them walk is like watching somebody riding a skateboard, even through the woods, even over rocky and rough terrain. It's almost like they're gliding, and in some cases I've seen where they actually were levitating. I've had two sightings of
Wow.
Bigfoot that could levitate. And so, looking back on my own experience with experiencing even a miracle where I was able to levitate and run up in time to stop a would-be drive-by of this friend of mine that was the intended target, I thought you never realize the life you save might be your very own life. That it was me that they were targeting because they thought I was military or thought I was Delta Force. So it led to a bigger investigation, including the FBI and the CIA also.
Oh.
Yeah, they came and investigated and asked the eyewitness what it was that he had seen, and he didn't see me actually levitate, but he did say that he didn't know what to say about it really, except for the fact that you know he was alive because of it. He just knew that it was impossible for anyone to run that distance in that short of a time, and having experienced teleportation before the levitation, even that
Wow.
happened like 3 times, where you just would run around the backside of this pond and just instantly go from point A to point B with nothing in between. You just instantly like skipped through time and space and distance and even matter, even it seemed. But
Yeah, that's very crazy, right? Like
yeah,
dematerializing
yeah,
or
it was
going into another realm.
yeah, another dimension or something, or experiencing portals and things. It's like when you're when you're inside of one, it's like you can't breathe. Is the best way to describe it, like an elephant sitting on your chest. Because I had this black curtain one night in these woods where I'm at come
Yeah.
moving around me after seeing these shadow figures running around me, where I actually got like visitated by two invisibly bodied beings that you could only see from the leaves that were swirling around them in
Yeah.
spinning vortexes as they came up out of the ground. And I
Oh
had this like
my.
fear of like it being snakes. Like I heard the rustle in the leaves and I looked down beside of me and I thought I'd stumbled on a nest of snakes, or something. And as the wind and the swirl picked up,
Yeah.
this curtain had moved around me, and I watched as the streetlights started disappearing around me. So everything just turned black, and I was standing there in the woods alone with these two invisible bodied beings with the leaves on them. And I thought, well, maybe it's just leaves caught in a spider's web. So I got like really close to one of them, like got right up looking right in its eyes before I
Oh
realized what
my.
it was. And that was probably my first mind speak. Now, this happened before I came to believe in Bigfoot. This happened like years before 2016. This is probably about 2012 time frame, October 2012 even.
Okay.
So um, I I simply said, "Well, fellas, I'll just be leaving now." Like in my mind, I said that. I spoke that. I was like, because I didn't know what else to do. I felt like I was like on holy ground or something. Like I shouldn't even be wearing shoes there. It felt like I was in a sacred place, I guess. And at the
Wow.
time, I thought that they were like guardian angels or some type of angel class being. Again, I didn't connect it with the Sasquatch encounter that I'd had here and the sighting the night before, even um, before this experience in the same woods here. Um, where I'm at right now is where I experienced a herd of deer came running by me, and I literally put my back
Wow.
against a tree and curled up into the fetal position, put my hands in front of my face, and I'd already had a sighting that night of this shadow figure next to a big bull out in this field. And
Wow.
I experienced the mind speak then where I spoke to him and said, buddy, I don't know who you are, but you just stay over there with that big bull and you keep him with you and everything will be fine. Everything will be just fine. And I did not even think of it being a Bigfoot or a shadow person. I was too focused on other things that were going on that night with people trying to kill me in the woods, chasing me down. And I later found out from a thief that had stole my truck that they chased through the woods who apparently looked just like me. And that night, even I could remember a connection to them, like physical connection, where they took on my persona and my essence and even my image as this thief chased who he thought was me. And it
Oh yeah.
literally, yeah, it this Bigfoot ran these two thieves into the neighbor who was armed with a shotgun. And that neighbor could not see anything except for the thief running towards him. And the thief, all he could see, he couldn't see that neighbor with the shotgun because he said it looked just like me as he come up from behind to grab me by the shoulders. The image of me just suddenly disappeared. And now I'm having like a vision of this happening, but it's like seeing it from up above, like looking down as I'm hearing them running through the woods
Yeah.
and running in the opposite direction. And I can hear the neighbor shout, to get off his effing property. And so this thief said he almost got his brains blowed out because as the image of me disappeared, up out of that image came the image of his next door neighbor with this shotgun pointed at him. So even then, I didn't connect it as being Sasquatch, seeing the shadow figure by the bull. I didn't even connect the fact that that bull was probably 4.5 to 5 foot tall at his back, and that only came up to this person's waist. So I didn't even connect
Okay.
or even think at the time, It didn't even register that guy was really big, you know. As I walk by him and say, you just keep over there and keep that bull with you, and everything will be just fine. It's like, I didn't even have a clue, man. I was so focused on, you know, going in and having this conversation with the thief that tried to kill me and give him the "you better come to know Jesus" speech, before you disappear. And the FBI ended up arresting him and his family, and 44 people connected. I think 42 got federally indicted. It was the largest single day arrest in Anderson County's history. And of course, there was help from other agencies, other people involved as well. And
Oh
it was
my.
just a really big event back then. And it had some other connections with the investigation, with also the experience levitating, where they tried to actually target me on a friend's property just before that. So it was all connected because they thought I was military and thought I was involved with some kind of a drug bust operation that had gone on. Thought I was a task force member and things such as that. Really, it started with this manager that I worked for at the time, who was connected with him. His best friend even was a relative of the thief that stole my truck that targeted me. I found out later, afterwards, of course.
Yeah.
But you look back in hindsight, back to that early childhood. It's like having the governmental vaccine. I think it was right around 76 or 75. The swine vaccine that retarded me and caused me to have like speech problems, uh,
Oh, I didn't know that.
stuttering. Yeah. And I think a lot of that experiences was them correcting that, because I had to relearn how to talk. I mean, I had to go through a lot of those childhood experiences that were so terrifying, just wanting to escape all that negative influence with the
Yeah.
crime and drugs of the 70s, growing up in the inner city ghetto and the projects. And so these woods up behind there was like a place of peace and solitude, and a place where I could get away from everything, and
Yeah.
go up in the woods. And even at 6 years old, that was nothing for us back then. I mean, we grew up without wearing helmets. We didn't have seatbelts in vehicles. I mean, we rode our bicycles until the streetlights came on at 9 o'clock. And I mean, we were out jumping ramps like Evil Knievel. And I mean, we
Yeah,
just
man, I
lived life
remember.
differently back then. I mean, we weren't scared of anything. We could just run off into the woods and go play army and dress up and wear camouflage and make little guns out of sticks. And we'd hit each other with nails, with swords that we would take out of pallets. I mean, that was just fun. That was just part of growing up, really. And
I
you know
agree.
you certainly didn't want to play smear the queer and be the last one holding the football, because you know that was always fun too. But we'd wrestle and fight, and golly, I got into so many fights. I got beaten up in more fights than I ever won, of course. And oh gosh, goodness, man, I had it in for the kid who ended up becoming the biggest drug dealer over there then. And oh, he tried like heck to get even with me for stabbing him in the second grade. It took him till the fifth grade to catch me, and he
Oh
had an eighth
my.
grader. He had an eighth grader when I come off the school bus, grabbed me and picked me up and walked around the corner of the rec center, and there he was waiting on me. And he told me, he says, "I'm not going to hit you in your eye, but I am going to hit you because you got stitches." I had stitches above my eye at the time. That's what's so funny.
Also, he
Even getting
was
those,
nice there about that.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think I put the fear in him where he knew, whatever he did to cause me to be so mad at him was probably well deserved for me to stabbed him
Yeah.
there in the second grade class with the pencils. But yeah, it was pretty bad growing up. I mean, that was just part of it, really part of that early childhood memories and stuff. But Yeah, I saw a full blown brown haired Bigfoot standing over top of these bushy like trees there, like these little privet like bushes, watching me playing there in the woods. And I did like a little YouTube video of it where I went back to those projects and went back to the location after
Yeah.
having like really multiple dreams and visions of returning to that place to see a ground stick. And in the dream and in the vision where that ground stick occurred was where that sighting was at. So I go back to the spot, and I kid you not, John P., there was a ground stick there, but it wasn't in the exact spot of where that sighting was. It was maybe, 20 yards further into the woods there. But I did find one where I'd had a premonition or dreams or visions of it. I can't remember which it was now. Maybe might have been both, even dreams and visions of it that I was having. But it's almost like they were putting that in my mind to return there to see that spot, to relive that childhood and connect back to it. It took
Yeah.
probably about 3 years after having this paradigm shift from this sighting in 2016 that I started remembering back to the night that they chased those deer by me, where I put my back against that tree. And when they
Yeah.
come running by me, like it shook the ground like an earthquake. I mean, you could feel the feet, just the rumble of the tree roots under you in the ground shaking and vibrating. And I felt because of that connection I'd already had with them that night, where they took on my image and my persona and led that thief away from me, that I don't dare try to take a look at one of them because they would know it. They would sense that I
Yeah.
sneaked a peek of them. So I buried my head. I closed my eyes as tight as I could. And all I could think of was like Lot's wife, where she turned and looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt. And I thought, well, I don't want to even dare look back. I don't even want to dare take a peek at him. I'm nowhere near as worthy as what Moses was to see the backside of God when he veiled himself in a cloud, and
Yeah.
allowed him to view him from the backside. I wasn't even worthy to look upon their backside, and here I was thinking that it was my guardian angels protecting me. I had done this almost like a ninjutsu like meditation in the woods there, where I made this symbol. I'll see if I can put the phone down where I can show you. But I was sitting in the woods as this thief was out to try to kill me. I made this hand symbol like this, and it
Yeah.
sort of looks like a bat wing. And it's just a symbol that's created from within God and like supernatural revealed knowledge too, because I put this over my forehead like that and was praying to God. And that's when I saw all this open up, where they took on my essence and my persona. It was almost like, uh, what do they call that? Like I saw that the first time I ever heard about it was, was in Star Wars, where Luke Skywalker splits himself into two and he's at two places at the same time. And they call it some Jedi something or another. I can't remember what they
Oh,
call it now.
interesting.
Yeah, there's a name for it now. That type of ability. Oh, force projection is what they call it. So
Okay.
I'd literally experienced, like the Jedi force projection, where you project your image or persona, but it was through this actual Bigfoot that live up here above this cave that runs underground, and that's how
Wow.
I first came to meet Matt and Jim, was
Yeah.
through sightings over near where they lived after they posted a YouTube video of this cave. And from Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot, Matt and Jim,
Yeah.
you've gotten to
Tennessee,
talk to them
Kentucky,
before.
Bigfoot, and
Yeah.
Matt.
And I said on just a comment that there was giant hairy people that lived there, and they never mentioned anything about Bigfoot or said anything on that video about it. And so they asked me, they said, "Are you talking about Bigfoot?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm talking about Bigfoot. Absolutely, there's Bigfoot over there." And they told me that they just lived down the road there and invited me to come up. So I did. I came up, and there's a guy, Miguel, who's been on the Flash of Beauty talking about his experiences and encounters, which I've prayed that he would have these like supernatural type of Bigfoot encounters and experiences.
Yeah.
We were to do an interview one time with a friend of mine that was having a visitation there at his apartments. And this is about 15 miles away. So I was telling Matt and Jim about this sighting I had of almost like instead of black diesel smoke that cast its own shadow on the ground, it was like brown looking smoke went by. And as it did, I smelled the smell from this Bigfoot. And I said out loud without even thinking, boy, they stink, And this friend of mine, he said, well, they said you stink. They think you stink. And I was like, what do you mean? They said, well, he said it was mind speak. They spoke to him and said that. And so we're watching Miguel in the Ozarks at a camp because we were going to do an interview with him that night, but he had to go pick up his relatives at the airport. So he canceled at the last minute. So we were there watching one of his videos where there's these blue jays around this camp. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, this Bigfoot starts laughing like a blue jay right outside his apartment, like it was making the blue jay call, even like it was talking to the blue jays on the TV, going pew, 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 like it continued the call while it was laughing like a blue jay, a laughing blue jay. And I said to this friend of mine, I was like, "Do you not hear this?" He goes, "Yeah, I hear it. Yeah, I'm he goes, yeah, I live here. I know all about it. Like, yeah, it's every day or, thing, and I was just mind blown by it. But it's so funny because when I went and met Matt and Jim from Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot, and I'm telling them this, suddenly we start hearing a blue jay outside. And it sounds just like a regular blue jay bird. And the funny thing is that there was like these handfuls of pebbles that got thrown on the rocks on top of the roof, like right after that. And when we went outside to have a look around, uh, after telling them about my sightings where they lived, of Bigfoot, because they'd been going up to Kentucky, up near Stearns, Kentucky, to do their research, and I think they had down in Coker Creek an encounter too, where they experienced the same thing of the Bigfoot running by you, and it's like an earthquake shaking the ground, like it's like a
They told
stampede. It's like a herd of elephants or something. And so we'd had similar experiences, really.
Yeah.
And when I told them that they had Bigfoot right here in their backyard, they were just amazed by it. And then the confirmation was that blue jay calls we heard while I'm telling them about blue jays. It's like you can't even make that kind of a connection up with them. And then to have a sighting too, that was on July 2nd of 2022. So that was just a few years ago when I first met those guys, and then had a sighting on their property riding four-wheelers that day with them of one that fell out of the top of a tree, one that had been up in the tippy top tree and fell out of it. And he must have hit every branch and limb on the way down. And his back was bowed over backwards over the limb, and it would flip him back around. I mean, he hit face down so hard on the ground that you could tell the only thing that was injured was his pride, as he got up and looked rather embarrassed and ran off on all fours like a spider or crab crawl. He went over the ridge so quick. I mean, he was gone in just seconds. I looked back on the four-wheeler to Jim behind me, and neither of them guys seen it. I guess Jim was in front and Matt was behind. I guess it was Matt. I turned around and looked back behind first, and we went on up the ridge and saw some other interesting signs of them. And then when we come back down, there was a feather there, this turkey feather, and it had like mud on it, and the stench. Oh my gosh! Like they knew that was from this Bigfoot that throws like doo doo. They called it doo doo. It likes to throw sling crap like a monkey at the zoo. And they said that their little dog knew whose scent was on that feather, even. So they'd had sightings and experiences over there, same as I have, just not even a half mile away from them. I had one sighting of a Bigfoot on the solstice, the winter solstice, that morning, about 3:30 in the morning. I brought a friend home whose truck was getting worked on, having a starter put on it, so he needed to ride home from work, and I I saw all this
Awesome.
dust and dandruff, the skin flakes from this Bigfoot after it had ran by, I realized that it was from the Bigfoot that I was seeing all this dust and stuff. As I was going to take a picture of this tree structure up in the woods and side of the road, and I went completely deaf from that sighting. You know, hunters and people, they talk about experiencing this where the woods
Oh
go
yeah.
silent. And I could not imagine how that Bigfoot could run through those woods and not make a sound. And I thought, well, maybe it levitated like I'd seen them do before, where it just looks like they're gliding through air, like riding a skateboard, even. But yeah, it was really incredible of a sighting. And of course, looking up at this Bigfoot who was massive, I thought he was like 25 feet tall. But when I went back and stood where it was at under the tree limbs there, it was a head height of about 15 foot. He was all
Oh.
black. I don't know if it's the same Bigfoot that Matt and Jim called George or not, but he was a pretty big one. And I kind of theorized, well, they must come out of this cave over here at night when the younger ones are running around during the day doing all the hunting for them. Like it must be the smaller ones that run and catch the deer, and the big ones just come out to feed, basically. You know, they have the younger ones go out and hunt for them. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, being here, I mean, I could probably walk 100 yards down through these woods and potentially find a ground stick sign. There's a lot of deadfall here, as you can
Oh
see.
yeah.
Yeah. And you could walk through that mess of deadfall and not find a single ground stick because they're not going to be marking a trail through the middle of all that mess. They're going to mark their trails to places that they have these ceremony sites at. And that's what I discovered, that sighting on the solstice, that was their time of year when they gather together and perform these like ancient ceremony rites, you know, just
Oh.
like how I was able to enter in and connect with them through that meditated state, you know.
Oh, thank you.
And then
Thank you
it was
very
probably
much.
it was probably several years later when I saw one with Janice Carter that was about 23 foot tall, this Bigfoot that ran under the street light crossing the road. And he went up, levitated up into the air, up into a ball of light above his head that Jan said she thought was a cloaking UFO. And we had like these F-35 fighter jets that came scrambling over top of the trees just minutes after that. Like there was like three pairs of them. So it was like six jets. And the last two that came over, they actually hit the orange afterburners of their thrust. And I said
Yeah.
something about, you know, that they don't do that unless there's something going on to Jan because of the fuel cost. But it's not so much the fuel cost because that's taxpayers' expense. You know, that's just a complete write off. It was
Mhm.
because the coatings on the aircraft are special coatings, special paint to absorb radar. And every time they hit those afterburners, they lose that paint coating and it has to be reapplied. So they don't,
Oh.
that aircraft's intended to be flown. It's got supersonic capability, but it's not intended to fly supersonic because it loses its radar absorbing material if it does
Okay.
that. So I found out something from that. Now that was the only
Interesting.
connection with Bigfoot and a UFO because that light that appeared above its head, I realized what all these religious art paintings were depicting of angels and the Mother Mary and the baby Jesus with the halo above his head, indicating some sort of like a light, you know, because this light that appeared above this Bigfoot's head, it looked just like that as it began to elongate. And it even looked like it was shimmering, like Janice said, like it was a cloaking metallic body, almost like a football or saucer shape above
Yeah.
its head. But when it lifted up, I mean, it literally just went right up into that ball of light above its head and disappeared. And I mean, me and Jan watched it, and I was like totally in a state of denial, even like total shock and denial, because it was just like, my God, how big are they? And Jen says, well, I've seen them 30 feet before. And I'm like,
Wow.
I was like, oh my gosh. Like I was just, you know, the biggest one I'd seen at that point was only about 12 foot tall, so this thing was like double that. And here, this other one was a 15-footer that I've seen. I've seen a lot of them that were smaller, even like 4.5 to 5 foot, even,
Mm-hmm.
maybe as tall as me running around. And I've seen the dog men. I've seen a dog woman probably 6 times, the same individual, dog woman. I've had like telepathic communication through picture images with her when she gave birth to a stillborn pup. And I was with Janice, and Janice even said, she said, William, we just don't know that much about them because we haven't been able to get close to them like we have with the Bigfoot and live with them to study
Mm-hmm.
them. She's like, we don't know anything about them. She goes, your guess is as good as mine because you know more than anybody. You know more than me. I mean, she was just like, you know as much or more than I do because, nobody knows about these things, these other cryptids. And that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing is the possibility that there's a reality that exists out here beyond what we think we know or understand. I mean, naturally, if they can disappear like a Merkaba or a light body ship and go up into it, it makes you wonder about these orbs and other sightings that people connect with the Bigfoot if they're able
Yeah.
to transmutate some ways. Now, Jan, she told me that not all Bigfoot have those abilities, that some are more
Okay.
human, just like we are. We
Uh,
even, I think, have lost a lot of those abilities. And I think some of that abilities could be attributed back to the anointing of Christ that I experienced as a child, even. So, um,
okay.
through retired Army lieutenant colonel that was involved with special forces. So I think within certain circles of communities of people, this is fairly known about, but I think other people, unless they've had those experiences to share them, I think it's looked upon with such skepticism that people would just automatically dismiss that guy's crazy. Well, I took it and ran with it and said, yeah, of course I'm crazy. I'm Crazy Dave, or I'm Ninja Dave. And so I used the term Crazy Dave to like mask behind it what I knew about CIA operations in Delta Force because, if anybody heard me talking about it, they just automatically assumed that I was crazy. And they actually told me, they said, man, that is pure brilliance, man. That's like having an ultra ego where it's like hiding in plain sight, they said. you know, you're able to blend right in and nobody knows about us because nobody believes you. It's like the perfect cover, the perfect alias, the perfect, altered identity, even. So it was just great, man. It was great to help out with those guys. And I got to share with one of them that he talked about, he called it ESP, extra perceptual reception or something, perception or something. He said it was like his spidey senses turned on. And
Okay.
he had been in combat before where he talked about, unlike the experience where people have of everything just slows down, like running through molasses, where
Yeah.
you get like this adrenaline that slows down the brain's process. Like everything's happening super fast, but to you, it's happening like super slow. He said this was something totally different from that, where a lot of bad stuff was happening to a lot of good people. And he was a team medic with the Special Forces group. And they were in an area of Africa where uh, they had gotten some guys that were wounded and he was needing to get them to cover so he could start
Mm-hmm.
giving them, life-saving aid and start treating them. And he
Mm-hmm.
said it was just like this window of time opened up, almost like a portal opened up that he was able to get up and move through like a doorway. He said that once you're pushing with all your might to like get through the threshold of this doorway, with your arms at the sides, pushing with all your might, that suddenly he was free of that doorway and he could run and move effortlessly, like he wasn't bound by even gravity. And he was able to grab these guys and pick them up. But it wasn't just that. it was like the enemy that was firing at them with their machine guns and everything. It's like all their bullets ran out at the same time. Like all the enemy fire stopped. It's like there was a doorway in time open for him to get up, to move through, where he was exposed to the enemy fire. And as soon as he got to cover, it's like the door slammed shut, and then the bullets started flying again. It's like da 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 da,
Wow.
and then it just stopped. And then after he got to safety, then it opened up again. It's like he moved through time, like in an instant, you know. And it's like he had all the time in the world, you know, even. So you start to realize that even time itself is irrelevant to things that are outside our natural physical three-dimensional reality. I mean, if you start talking about fourth dimension or third dimension, or as like the Apostle Paul talked about being caught up into the third heaven, even, you know, you're talking about a reality where it exists beyond just this natural world, you know, and these experiences that are anything but natural, you know. I think for the Bigfoot, it really isn't paranormal and it isn't
Mhm.
even supernatural. It's just natural for them because it's within their metaphysical DNA. It's just locked within their physical abilities. And so these experiences that I had, people can call them alien or ET or whatever, even the childhood terrors with the waking up, bloody nosebleeds. I think they were doing stuff to create hybrids. Now, could that be demonic hybrids as well? Well, absolutely. The devil's got to have his counterfeit for anything that God does. Anything
Mhm.
that's good, there's going to be a equal or opposite to it, it seems. And that
Oh yeah.
environment growing up, you know, calling it the projects. I talked to another guy that I was working with, and he grew up a decade later there. He grew up in the same neighborhood, a couple streets over from where I did. I grew up in the 70s. He grew up in the 80s there. He asked me,
Mhm.
well, did you have the same dreams of falling back into your body? And I was like, yeah, I did. And I said, did you have bloody nosebleeds? And he says, yeah. He goes, I sure did. Up until the time he moved out of there, he had them. And I said, well, did you ever see the shadow figures going through the walls and in the hallways at night? He stopped and thought a minute. He goes, you know what? I've tried to forget about seeing those. He goes, I do remember seeing those now that you mention it. He goes, I tried my best to forget about that. He goes, and I'd forgotten about seeing those. But yeah, he had the same experience, you know, a decade later even. And you have to wonder if
Wow.
truly the projects, if we weren't actually those projects, you know, if it wasn't them experimenting on us there, you know. And the connection with like finding French trade beads when I was a kid there, where it was a Native American site, probably a burial ground even, it makes you wonder if this dark or negative energy, uh, demonic hybridization, even MK Ultra, if this stuff wasn't going on with some of those people there, you know, that turned out to be so bad, even, you know, if you're talking
Yeah.
about a genetically modified humans or some type of an experimentation being done, I mean, it makes you wonder really about a lot of these things connected with UFOs and aliens. And I've seen, you know, a TR-3B type aircraft fly over the house. I've seen orbs. I saw
Yeah.
an orb hiking with Scott Carpenter that time. And Scott connected it instantly to Bigfoot. He actually told everybody, he said, he's already seen a Bigfoot right up there. And I thought, well, it wasn't a Bigfoot I saw. It was a blue and white marble orb. But I understood what Scott was connecting it to. I understood that from Scott telling all of us that there's a nest right up where that orb I'd seen, and that they sit there and watch people. It's like Bigfoot TV. They go there to watch people. So I got to experience that as well. And I've been out with Jan. We had a sighting of what looked like a figure that had a cone's head, and it was sticking up out of the top of the cornfield. It's like, you can't see me if my head's, if my eyes are below the level of the corn, but his head was sticking way up. So it's like really obvious, you know, even though we were looking at him through night vision. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. My phone's about to die. The screen just went dim. I'm losing battery, but maybe I can try to put it on the charger here. But yeah, it
Let's
was
try it
funny.
once again to finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Yeah. We got to get together and do this again or do a part two even if we can, because there's so much to try to talk about. And I'd love to get Jan on here too. Look, something stepped across
My
this right
pleasure.
here.
I told you, if you want next
See where all
time
that,
we'll go us three.
you see where all the leaves have been mulched up, where they when they're stepped on when they're dry, they get crunched up into little pieces. And you see all
Yeah.
these little pieces of leaves where there's a big square stamped out right here, and then look what you got right here next to it. I mean, you can see where the ground's flattened out, where something stepped
Yeah.
right there with a pretty big step over it. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's a big structure there.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, this stuff's there. There's there's one that was even bigger than this. This is all natural deadfall and stuff. But over on the other side, where there's actual ground stick markers, where they actually have marked it. One of them
Yeah.
today I saw was actually in the edge of the road, the gravel driveway, and the riffraff rocks to hold the embankment from washing away and eroding. There was a ground stick stuck in between rocks. It's like
Ah.
there's no way that that's deadfall. There's no way that that fell out of a tree, a limb, and stuck itself there. So it's just comical, when you see some of these signs and then you connect it with sightings, even. And you come back and you do like follow on investigations, and then you see where not only was there a ground stick place there, but you look back through your photos as you're documenting and recording a lot of this stuff, and you see, wait a minute, that's a different ground stick that is there now, because it's a different kind of stick, it's a different kind of tree branch, and it's stuck in the same place. So you start to learn some of their codes and language and communication. They're like little subtle
Perceptions
signs,
and
yes, and places where they're going for these like ceremony sites where they're visiting them on certain dates. Like I had a mind speak encounter here on
yeah.
the equinox, on the rising of the moon that comes up, and this orientation with this stone wall that's here, even. And it's collapsed. It's so old. It's got trees growing out of that stone wall now, where it's collapsed and formed almost like a path or a walkway
Yeah.
leading into an area where there's their cryptid cemetery, basically a graveyard, even Bigfoot graveyard here. So I think they do like serpent type culture, sort of like in anthropology. If you research
Yeah.
anything like that connected with the serpent cultures, there's like the red hand culture, there's Adena culture, there's Hopewell culture. um, I was trying to think of some others, but they're all serpent culture if you study different anthropology type stuff. And the thing about anthropology too that's really interesting is that uh, Bigfoot
Mm.
to them is a type of human
Okay.
or a people. They're a people, maybe not necessarily a type of human per se, but they are a people. They have a language, they have a culture, they have a history. Some of that history ties to the ancient Celtic language, and their writing that they have
Yeah.
is ancient Celtic. So
Okay.
that's that's something that's fascinating, to be discovered. One of the students at the University of Tennessee here discovered that from collecting images of stick glyphs over 3 years. She compiled enough images that she was able to match it to a Celtic alphabet, an ancient
Yeah.
Celtic dialect. So, and when you hear them speaking in their language, it sounds almost like a Gregorian chant. Now they can speak through mind speak, and you hear it just like your own thoughts in your head, like English or
Yeah.
For you, it'd be like in Portuguese. It'd be like hearing English and Portuguese. You know, you can hear both and understand it, but with them, they can speak one language and communicate telepathically in another, even. And it's
Yeah.
kind of similar too, because I think speaking in tongues, it refers to that in the book of Acts as the tongues of angels and the tongues of men. So if these things are part angelic, even, or have an angelic language.
Interesting. Did we lose you? Remember, guys, the battery was very close. Tennessee, my brother. Oh, sorry, is Tennessee here? Okay, so I think we lost my brother. Let's do like this, guys. If he doesn't go in, I'm gonna put the music, the two musics that I've done for him. You're gonna love this, guys. Tonight. Love you, brother Wally. So we lost him. Let's see if he can come back. This is the music for my brother. Two musics. Gonna love it, guys. Look at that. Thank you, Daryl, brother. Love you, brother. Big hugs to Joy. He flies through the night, his stories untold. Cryptic shadows dance where the moonlight falls. Bigfoot's in the trees, hear the Okay, Daryl. Thanks, brother. Oh, tonight, we're taking that ride. UFO glow, got the stars as our guide. Bigfoot's watching, always lurking here. But we're flying high, no room for fear. Through the treetops, through the misty haze. Heavy style and sharp cutting through the maze. Knowing I'm slow, whispers in the air. Eyes of the unknown, they're everywhere. Feel the vibe, let it set you free. The sky's alive, cosmic energy. Oh tonight, we're taking that ride. UFO glow, got the stars as our guide. Bigfoot's watching, always lurking near. But we're flying high, no room for fear. Look up, look down, the world's upside down. Dave's love echoes. Oh, it's raining good. Around. Blessings from the crypt as they give us a sign. This right's a gift, it's one of a kind. Wonderful. Love this one, guys. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's raining like pots, guys. This one is a second. Beautiful as well. Enjoy it. Look. Ninja Eagle Dave got wings of gold. He flies through the night, his stories untold. Cryptic shadows dance where the moonlight falls. Bigfoot's in the trees in the forest cold. Oh tonight, we're taking that ride. You and Boo got the stars, I got light. Bigfoot's watching, always lurking there, but we're flying high. No room for fear. Through the treetops, through the misty haze, Dave stepping sharp through the maze. The wind hums low, whispers in the air. Eyes of the unknown, they're everywhere. Feel the vibe, let it set you free. The sky's alive, cosmic energy. Oh tonight, we're taking that ride. We're full blown, got the stars as our guide. Bigfoot's watching, always lurking near, but we're flying high. No room for fear. Thanks, brother. I love both of them. Look down, the world's upside down. Slap echoes as we spin around. Blessings from the cryptids, they give us a sign. Ride's a gift, it's one of a kind. Oh tonight, we're taking that ride. UFO glow, got the stars as our guide. Bigfoot's watching, always lurking near, but we're flying high. No room for Cass, what's up? Thank you very much, my friends. I'll put the first one again. So I think we lost him. He lost battery, guys. Remember he was saying. So we're gonna try having him sometime soon. Thank you very much for stopping by, Cass. Ninja Eagle Dave got wings of gold. He flies through the night, his stories untold. Cryptic shadows dance where the moonlight falls. Bigfoot's in the trees, hear the forest call. Oh tonight, we're taking that right. UFO glow, got the stars as our guide. Bigfoot's watching, always lurking here, but we're flying high, no room for fear. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks Mama Bear for the support. Andrew, Bisay, Cass, Daryl,
To the treetops, to the misty hay.
Johnny, Aries,
Baby style and sharp cutting through the maze.
Roger,
The wind hums slow,
New,
whispers in the
New
air.
Image, love you brother.
Eyes of the unknown, they're everywhere.
Ninja Dave, connect to my brother Ninja Dave.
Let it set you free.
Okay?
Sky's alive.
This,
Cosmic
this is the link of my brother. Please check him out, my
Oh,
friends.
tonight, we're taking that ride. UFO glow, got the stars as our guide. Bigfoot's watching, always lurking near. But we're flying high, no room for fear. Look down, the world's upside down. Age love because as we spin around. Blessings from the crypt, they give us a sign. This right's a gift, it's one of a kind.
Dun, dun, dun. John P loves you, my people. Okay, we can do a short tonight, Andrew, if you want. Okay, I'll put the last music again. This is a bomb, guys. I think this is the best one. First, I thought it was. I thought that one was the best, but now I'm.
Ninja Eagle Dave got wings of gold. He flies through the night, the story's untold. Cryptic shadows dance where the moonlight falls. Bigfoot's in the trees, in the forest calls. Oh tonight, we're taking that ride. UFO glow, got the stars on our guide. Bigfoot's watching, always lurking there. But we're flying high.
Thank you, brother. Rebecca. Tonight we got Wally's World.
Through the treetops,
It's gonna be live, so join us.
Dave's telling sharp, cutting through the maze. The wind hums low, whispers in the air.
Aries, thank you, my sister.
Eyes of the unknown, they're everywhere.
Blessings, thank you for the support.
Feel the vibe, let it set you free. The sky's alive, cosmic energy. Oh tonight, we're taking that ride. UFO glow, got the stars as our guide. Bigfoot's watching, always lurking near. But we're flying high. No room for
See you soon, my people.
Look down, the world's upside down. Laugh echoes as we spin around. Blessings from the cryptids, they give us a sign. Ride's a gift, it's one of a kind.
Beautiful.
Oh, tonight we're taking that ride. UFO glow, got the stars as our guide. Bigfoot's watching, always lurking near. But we're flying high. No room for fear.
Stay blessed, my people. Good night and have a wonderful week. Hope to see you soon. Oh yeah. Stay blessed, my people.